Hello and welcome to Ball of a Passion, and we're back with another space after God knows how long. We've got a special guest with us in the kid EGAL himself. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Bro, we're bored. It's this international break, man. I can't stand it. It's annoying, but it is what it is. But today we're going to talk about some non-international stuff. We're going to talk Arsenal. We're going to talk top four. We're going to talk players of the season, season review, mid-season review. It's getting to that running. It's time to finish the job off that we've done the whole season. So, how you feeling about the season anyway, Gal?
You know what? I am very happy to say that I'm surprised with the position that we're in, and I'm just hoping that we can keep it going and we can get that top four spot and kick on for next season because it's a big summer up ahead.
CK, thoughts? Initial thoughts on this season?
Yeah, it's been good, been very good. A lot of consistency. I just hope we have the same consistency for the next 10 games, and just this destroy the narrative that in pressure moments we're gonna crack. That's what I think that's what the team has to do for the next 10 games. Apart from that, it's been just as I expected.
It's tough, right? Like it's just according to plan. Egal, if you saw the shit that we got from so
I,
many
I
people on
see
our
it. I see it.
tables, the amount of stuff that we got. So for us, it's kind of one of those moments where you're sitting with your tea, you're rubbing your hands, you're like, come, 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 come. Let my talking happen on the pitch because yeah, everything's going to plan. And I think a lot of people have got egg on their face. I'm not going to lie. A lot of rivals got some egg on their face because I have not seen proper Arsenal discourse all season. Everyone's trying to rain on the parade because they're afraid. They're afraid. That is, I'm not afraid to say it. Facts. Rivals are afraid of where Arsenal are and where they're going. So you love to see it. Drink it in. I'm excited to talk top four like seriously though because I feel like every time you bring up these tables, you've got big content creators that are saying, "Oh, you guys like to pick apart little games." And I go, "Man, this is what being a content creator is. It's predicting the future for why. It's about providing yourself with evidence." And what's crazy is they're running out of excuses, man. At first, it was you're being too selective about who else is missing and you don't do the same analysis for rivals. Then when you start saying, let's look at the table from December 2020 period, let's not take out any games. And Arsenal are top three ahead of Chelsea for over a year now. That's a year and a half of sample. So I'm sitting here kind of trying to wait and understand where people are coming from because you're still talking about Arsenal being frail, being poor away. And I'm like, you do know that we've won 5 out of the last 5 away games. You can't sit there and say that. You do know that this Arsenal team are not poor defensively. It's probably one of our strengths. If anything, it's attacking wise that you may be able to question. So a lot of narratives and of course the whole Ben White thing. But yeah, man, I'm excited for international breaks as I look forward to causing fires. That's
You
my
know, you know,
MO.
I think the Ben White thing is the litmus test to see if you actually watch Arsenal or if you just
Yeah.
watch it from a distance. Because if you say Ben White is not good, or Ben White is this, or Ben White's that, or you make even the slightest inkling of something about him being better in a back three,
Yeah.
immediately I know you don't watch football or you don't watch Arsenal at least. Maybe you watch your club, but you don't watch Arsenal. To me, if you make a negative comment about Ben White, that just shows me you do not watch Arsenal.
I mean, the same could be said for Bukayo Saka. Like, every Arsenal fan told every single English fan, right, that Bukayo Saka would probably become a staple in the starting 11. Like, that was something that everyone said. And there's
And
like,
I was laughed at,
yeah,
ridiculed,
oh,
We
made
all
fun of.
were, mate.
Rashford
everybody
was
was.
Rashford was going to be a bigger factor. He didn't get a minute. Sancho was going to be a bigger factor. Only because he had his transfer to Manchester United. That's the only reason why he didn't get to feature. Southgate didn't want him distracted. It was all a bunch of rhetoric. But
Ugh.
yeah,
I hate narrative, but you know what I love even more, Gal? I love destroying narrative. So you know what? Let's get into it because what do you think is the big change from an Arsenal perspective? Because look, on the guys on the panel, we've all been very positive with Mikel, and of course, you yourself, you've been on a journey with Mikel. So for you, what were the steps that basically took you from somebody who was questioning his ability to lead us there from top four to maybe now being a little confident that we're in the driver's seat? Like what changed for you this season that you maybe didn't see last season to get so hard, in terms of in preseason saying, yeah, we'll definitely do it. Like what was the turning point?
Okay, just to give you guys a heads up, going into the season, I was fully behind Mikel Arteta, and
Yeah.
I was behind Mikel Arteta from when he came in. I wanted him in the job, so I was somebody who wasn't quick to turn on him during the season. And last season, even after the Europa League, I was wavering, but I was still like behind the plan. Now, here's where things went south for me. After the first 3 games, I was one of those people who was like, you know what? I could see the club jumping ship. So hence why I started to think about jumping ship myself. And I thought that he lost the dressing room, which clearly was not the truth after big up to that person. Clearly was not the truth afterwards. And then I kind of, after the 10-game winning streak, I started to say to myself, this is not the same Arsenal. We're better defensively. We're fixing how we play. This is not the same old team. I made the statement that the banter era might be near to an end because the base part of the banter era was the defensive deficiencies, and you could see those going. I also made the bold statement that this is the begin. This is how you build a defense. Is how you win the team, and I could see the beginning of a good defense with the players that we have. Ben White coming in, Saliba to be coming in next season, hopefully, with Tierney, Tomiyasu, and everybody else. It just looked like one of the best defenses we've had in a long time. I would say since Per Mertesacker and Kashani days. But yeah, and then from there, plus looking at the midfield, having Xhaka, Partey, and the attack, I was thinking the attack was going to be a little bit better at the beginning of the season, that would click into gear, but it only took until Aubameyang's inclusion to see us really click into gear with the attacking way. But yeah, right now the reason why I'm so on board with everything is because I feel like if you're gonna question everything Mikel Arteta is doing, when things are going well, you got to look at the actual positives and say to yourself, you know what? Look at glass half full, glass half empty. At the beginning of the season, no one expected. A lot of people did not expect us to be here. I know you guys did, but a lot of people did not expect us to be here. And at the point that we're at right now, the job's not done, but we're halfway there. We're more than halfway there, and just take it and let's move on. And even if we do drop off from this point, a lot of people want to say, oh, if he drops off on this point, you're going to be Arteta out again. No, at this point, it's not about being Arteta out or Arteta in. It's about seeing dramatic changes from where we were over the last 2 years and not trusting the, obviously people don't like the phrase trust the process, but it's not about trusting the process. It's about trusting the actual pathway that we're headed on, and that we might actually see some light from the end of the tunnel. I don't know. I've said a lot of things, but hopefully you get what I mean.
Yeah,
quick,
absolutely, bro. Go for it, Kirk.
Sorry, just to quickly outline just some quick facts about what's happened in terms of since that Emile Smith Rowe introduction. So 52 games, 101 points, 1.94 points a game. That's definitely top 4 form, and that's for an entire calendar year and almost 15 to 16 months now. We're on the same amount of points as Chelsea in that period of time. And the fact of the matter is we are closer to Chelsea right now than Manchester United. That's just empirically true from the Premier League table. In the Premier League, we are closer to Chelsea than Manchester United. And I don't think a lot of people are realizing this at this moment in time. It's just an empiric fact. It's not a biased judgment. It's just from the points we can see. In terms of what we're looking for going forward, we're looking at a team that George just said, imperious away. You have Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka together. When they've been together, they've only lost 2 games or 3 games now in with the Liverpool game, Liverpool, Man City, and Everton when Xhaka had just returned. So it's not a case where we're just thinking, hang on a second. When we have our settled midfield and we have we have the ability to play our system, we're imperious. And that's why I'm a bit shocked. I'm not really shocked, but a bit concerned about the narrative that, oh, we're just going to bottle it. Well, no, in the fact, the second half of the season, we got stronger as the season went on. When we started the season, we are one of the only teams that hasn't gone three games on the bounce without a win. like
But you know
a
what, Kern?
Tottenham, without Man
It's
United.
intellectual dishonesty. I'm here to come for rivals, because if you're gonna come for the Heat, like, let's talk honestly here, right?
I'm going for
A
everyone.
lot,
United,
'cause-
our rivals,
yeah,
our fans, everyone.
because what I've heard right at the beginning of the season was that title challengers United had just a far better squad, and whatever manager
Mhm.
that you put in there was going to get a bigger tune out of that talent pool. Well, why hasn't that happened? Like, what's the excuse that you're telling me at this point, when a better manager, someone that you prophesize to be the professor of a lot of these managers, has come in? He's the guy, right? He's the reference that breeded Klopp, X, Y, and Z, came in, and it was just a coaching issue. Why is it then that you haven't turned it around? So then it must be something deeper. Maybe some of the things that people were saying beforehand, when you guys weren't balanced, you weren't playing a proper team, you overloaded and bought Ronaldo when you didn't really do. Maybe some of those critiques had validity. And then you start going into Spurs, who basically haven't had a time in the season where they strung 3 games in a row together, and they're sitting there talking about consistency. Like, bro, have some shame. You haven't had a period in the season where you've gone 3 wins on the bounce. Meanwhile, Arsenal have sit there and gone 5 games on the bounce a couple times, by the way, not just once, a couple times now. So if you're talking consistency, let's just be honest with each other. And it doesn't mean that our project is above these teams. I think people get really tribal in football, where it's like when you start praising one thing about a rival, it's now, oh, let's dial it to 11. And they're saying now they're going to win the league. Like, I saw your comment, EGAL, earlier in the season, where you're like, we're building a title challenging defense. And it was dialed to 11, where I actually agree with you. Like, we've built from the back. When you look at Mikel Arteta and his and how he's rebuilt the club, we have built from the back. And I think for me, I am a big favor of defense. I'm really pragmatic. I think a strong defense wins you titles. And we've done it different to Liverpool. And it's worth discussing. Like, if everybody as a rival, and you pool 10 rivals together, how many actually said top 4? None. Like, I don't think there was a single rival that
Look,
gave
I'm
us a
still
shout.
waiting for another channel that came out in August and said top 4.
No,
still
so
that we
it was a
Forget
rarity.
about channel. There was a document, if you've seen it, that Connor on Twitter, Arsenal guy.
Yeah.
He put out a thing where there was over 20 experts who did their predictions, and
Yeah.
they had the exact same 3 people. I found it. It's right here. If you don't mind me sharing it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
They had exact same 4 teams, just in different order.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole list, from Alan Shearer all the way to Jermaine Beckford. It's just the exact same guys. Even Leicester pops in a couple times.
Yeah, crazy madness.
But they don't even have Arsenal anywhere near this. So it just goes to show you how absurd it was. And now we're what, 67% odds of getting it? You know what it is?
More than that.
I don't
It's like
expect
70
anything
now.
different from rivals. Guys, understand, if and when we do get top 4, and at this point it is more when than if.
Yeah.
It's going to be flipped into you're celebrating top 4 now. Top 4 is a trophy now. It's already starting to be demeaned. It's already starting to be turned into something where it's going to be a joke if and when it does happen. And the next stage to it is when the season begins next season, depending on who we get in the Champions League draw, people are going to be saying, oh, you're going to get piped 4-5-0 by this team and that team and this team and that team. When you realistically look at it, we've been getting the same teams that we would be getting in the Champions League and the Europa League, and we've been dealing with them quite easily.
Yeah, no, facts, mate. And like, look, when you do look at it, right, to be fair, Yo-Yo makes a point about some of the differences in terms of maybe certain partnerships being prioritized. For me, there was a big quality difference in the squad between last year and this year, right? So one of the major differences is clearly our buildup and our defense. Anyone who's saying that we don't have a different team is crazy. We have over 4 or 5 starters now that are new to the team, which, by the way, has never gotten praise from anybody in rivals. But can you guys name a time when a team has done 6 to 7 additions and all of them have banged, so to speak, in quote or end quote? It's happened very, very rarely. So the team deserves credit. But you've got Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Ben White. Okay. Then you've got essentially up top, we've got Martinelli, who's now become a starter, Emile Smith-Rowe, who's become a starter. These are a lot of changes to the starting 11 that we're slowly starting to see. And for me, when you start to look at it, obviously the defense has improved, but I was saying from time, if you see the starting midfield pivot, you combine it with our new defense, okay, that back 7 is solid. We don't lose games when those guys play consistently. When you start to pick up points and you start to sustain pressure like that, you've got to start sitting up and taking notice. Now, the next step for this team is maybe adding that Liverpool Allison window. We've had our little 5 to 6 filler, where the hull was broken in so many places. We had to really do super glue. We had that summer. Now, this summer, the one thing I will say is, and I've always said, is the club need to follow through. So the next step is now kind of sprinkling it with that little stardust power, that project builder. Because, Mikel hasn't got his transfer record. He hasn't got really a big attacking addition. If you really think about it, Willian is our only sample for an attacking addition from Mikel Arteta. And I don't even know if that was 100% him. If you really go back,
I very much doubt that.
A lot of that had to come from Kia influence. A lot of that, was him making the best out of a situation. I don't think he was given funds for an attacker in that sense. So we don't really have sample. Like, we all have our ideas about where we want to take the team. Let me ask you this.
Shoot. Aston Villa, you're watching that game.
Yeah.
And as I was watching that game, I'm looking at this team play, and I'm like, the way we're dominating. Don't you feel like what you just said with the Liverpool comparison? Don't you feel like with a couple signings, we're away from like at least competing and being respectable on all fronts?
Facts.
Because
100%.
when people say, oh, you are so far away from competing, I really don't think we are. I just think people are more or less underrating how much continuity and consistency can get you further in this game. And the fact is, we do have continuity and consistency with these players. It's just, if we do bring in 2 to 3 pieces that are starter level or quality of a starter level, like a striker, somebody to replace Xhaka long term, and somebody to play on the left wing, if we don't want Martinelli or ESR starting there, what's to say we can't do it? And especially if they're of the quality of some of the names that we've been linked to, like the Nunez's, the Joao Felix's, and the Gnabry's and stuff. If we get any of these guys, it could definitely raise the floor of this squad. And people are almost predicting the future. Oh, Arsenal's just going to fall off again. Arsenal's going to do what Manchester United did and just drop off again following year. No, that's not the case. The case is we're trying to build it. And what evidence is there to say that we're going to drop off at this moment in time?
Well, mate, look, on this channel, we've talked a lot about the soft factors, the infrastructure. We get laughed at a lot, but when you look at it, our scouting department completely revamped. Our academy from start to finish with Marcel Lucassen back in 2018, with Per Mertesacker leading a big revolution. This idea that, Arsenal are producing stars. Guys, this isn't coincidence. We've been revamping our academy for this purpose. We're just reaping the benefit of a lot of the work that we did. You look at places like, sorry to name drop, but Manchester United, Tottenham. When's the last time they've really updated the football people in the background? They haven't. They've always taken the short fixes. They did the Unai Raul Leahy kind of era where they're like, you know what, we'll just pick stars that aren't balanced. And look, ultimately, we've done things the right way. And that's why we're seeing sustainable results. It's not patchy. And that's why I think it's a very different Arsenal in that sense. And EGAL, you're right. For me, when you sprinkle, this team shows you, and this league, I should say, shows you that you're never as far as you believe. Again, title challengers United back to Europa. That's a big jump from not just narrative, but results. So when you start to add these things, basically going from Andreas Georgson, our set piece coach, to Nicholas Jover, like, these are smart moves that smart clubs do. You know what I mean? And so when you're doing those things, it makes no surprise that we're suddenly at that area. You add that little bit of superstar dust, and yeah, I think we'll definitely be there for a challenge. But I want to go to Chris really quickly, mate. Like, for you, I think we all know like our thoughts about the season preemptively, but what maybe surprised you so far this season about this team? Because I'll speak for myself really quickly. The one thing that really surprised me was our ability to kind of always come back from a loss, or always come back from a hardship. That was something that we didn't do last season, to be fair. We had a lot of things go away, Wolves or whatever. We did let some negative occurrences impact the team. I'm thinking Villarreal. I'm thinking these things. Like, we went on runs, right, where we let external factors impact us. So that was my biggest change this season. There's a certain resilience in this team. What about you? Like, what was your surprise of the season? Keeping in mind, we all knew that top four was likely, but like, what was a surprise for you?
I think not a surprise, but I like the adaptability of the team. So Ben White moving to right back, he played well. Tomiyasu moving, he played well. Tavares was able to come in at right back, left mid, he played well. I think the consistent adaptability from top to bottom from us going 1-0 up against Man City without Arteta there, all this consistent like big changes and not affecting the game. I think I was very impressed with that. I think I expected us to miss a lot of chances, but I think at times we've had a lot of conviction with like Saka 9 goals, Smith Rowe 9 goals. Like I think Martinelli's on 5, 6,
6, I think. So, yeah.
and
Yeah.
Odegaard's on 5, 6 as well. So all these youngsters, that's 20 plus goals between them. I did expect they'd have a lot of goal contributions, but amongst the U21, we have 4 players in the top 10 for goals, and I think just obviously I know our players are mature and they play above their age, but I think just the consistency, even though before the season, like going into last season from the 1st of December to the end, we were a top 4 team. And that's before we even started winning. Like we were very consistent, that's before.
Hey,
And
look, mate. Like I'm with you because the narcissist in me points to that Havertz ESR video comparison. But like when you look at it, right? So of the U21 players with totals of goals and assists, 3 out of the top 5 are Arsenal: Gabby, ESR, and Saka. I think Mikel Olise is in there. Gallagher is in there right now, and I think Foden, was in there. So, this was just at Watford at that point in the season. I think Gallagher creeps in instead of Olise at this point. But we have got 3 of the top 5, youngsters in U21, and I made a point kind of on Twitter where often when fans evaluate a season, for me, everybody underestimates kind of the impact that a youngster can improve. Like I know we sit there and we accept it, but that level of improvement, like Saka already has his most productive season. ESR has scored more goals this season than his entire career sum. Martinelli has more goal and assists this season than his entire career total. So like when you look at levels, right, and you're looking at how this team improves, they're U21 guys. We haven't even factored Saliba. We haven't factored in the entirety of this team, the peak of this team. And so when you start to look at some of the teams that we're supposed to be competing against, Liverpool, your cities, these are teams, by the way, that have been together for 2 or 3 years. This team is brand new. So when you're starting to...
is an understatement.
Oh, it is. It is 100%. And when you go from the oldest team in the league almost, which is what we were under Raul Sanllehi, to now the youngest team, that's a drastic change, guys. So for me, we're doing things the right way. Probably want to go around the table because we've only got EGAL for a select period. I want to make sure that we get his thoughts through. What is probably your MVP of the season so far? And who's the youngster in Arsenal's young squad that you have the highest hopes for? And I know, look, we can't all be, future crystal ball, but I'm asking you to crystal ball for me. Who's someone that you believe is going to take us to the promised land?
Okay, I think the most important player in the team this season and the most surprising player, MVP. Let me just do it this way. Signing of the season has definitely been Ramsdale for me.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys. Mm-hmm. When it comes to most improved, I would have to say ESR because I did not expect him to take this jump. But when it comes to like most valuable, it has to be Bukayo Saka. Without Bukayo Saka carrying us throughout games, not only his impact in the final third, but his impact throughout the whole 90 minutes, carrying the ball, linking the midfield and the attack, bringing the ball from deep and just carrying it forward on that right-hand side and being basically like a sole attack on that right-hand side. And when you guys watch him and you watch the 90 minutes, you see how many times we're just looking at him as the sole option on that right flank.
He gets Jordan rules, I call it. That's my favorite phrase. He gets Jordan rules. They stick 2 or 3 people on the guy and just
what I call it? He gets I know this triggers Chelsea fans, but he gets the Hazard treatment. They literally put 4 or 5 men on him. And when I said this after the Leicester game, people were laughing. But now they finally see it. It's 4 to 5 men on him every single time. Against Man City, he had double ups. Against Chelsea, he had double ups. Against Liverpool, he had double ups. Against every single major team in this league, small or big, you have doubles or 4s on him at times. I think it was the Newcastle game where they freeze framed it and they had 4 people looking at him as he had the ball. And
even City, mate, they had 3 people on him constantly.
And he still got past them. So to me, it's Bukayo Saka is the most important player in this team, in my opinion. And it's not only about his goals and his assists, but it's about the impact that he has throughout the 90 minutes by his dribbles and everything.
Yeah. No, mate. I'm totally with you. I'll definitely go to the guys in the panel about kind of their.
Can I just say one thing though?
Yeah, shoot, bro.
We need to stop doing this one thing. Forget about these guys and trying to get rational conversations from some of these guys, because there's people out there who still call Bukayo Saka left back. So, and you think I'm joking? Literally 2 hours ago, 2 people messaged me saying Bukayo Saka's best position is at left back. So I don't want to have conversations with certain people anymore. Just let them talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to look for rivals' gratification or approval. In order, we know what our team is, and we don't need anybody's approval at this point.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I'll definitely go to maybe Kern, and guys in the comments, make sure you start writing. The big question for us that we'll post here, is kind of what do you think has been the biggest change in Arsenal, and let us know kind of your top MVPs, your young player of the season, who you think will take us. We got a young squad, like I said, youngest in the league. Which prospect excites you in the most? I want to hear from you, Kern. I'll jump to you first, mate. Same kind of question. Who's your MVP of the season? Who's the young star that's going to take us to the promised land?
Yeah, so first of all, the term is player of the season. MVP is for basketball. We're not in Canada, you freaks. So my player of the season, I agree with EGAL, is Bukayo Saka. I mean, his ability to progress the ball from deep, the runs that left right hand side, the ability to interplay with Martin Odegaard, cut inside, hit goals. His ball striking has improved. His ability to sniff out goals has improved. His ability to hold width has also improved, because I think all of us have said, and in terms of the biggest surprise, which we said before, I think Martin Odegaard is my biggest surprise, because he has developed this ability to go from in to out, but he hasn't done that in any of his career so far. He wasn't doing that last season, and this season he actually is overlapping, which is good to see, and it's allowed that interchange with Bukayo to happen at a much bigger and a much loftier degree. So I would say Bukayo, obviously, with Odegaard, but I would say definitely Bukayo is my player of the season, and Odegaard is my biggest surprise or most improved, however you want to put it. In terms of young player of the season, it's hard to go past Emil. I mean, Emil, the ability to be our top scorer at his age is great. The ball striking epidemic that we thought was going to happen. Surprise.
Wait, do you think he's the one with the biggest ceiling though, out of all the youth, including Saka and everything? Is Emil your pick?
Yeah, I think so. I think Emil, because you know why? Because Emil's ability to not only, I feel like he has the ability to come and change roles as just as big as Saka does. Like Saka can play so many roles, but Emil can play the left centre mid. He can play at number 10. He can play at left wing. His ability to carry the ball and dictate play from deep, we haven't seen yet. If you watched him at the youngster level, he was most of the time he was either a 10 or
he was a center midfielder. I always hate when people talk about him being a left wing, like he was a center midfielder.
Yeah, exactly. So we haven't even seen that. I mean, you can go back to
we've seen it against Burnley for a small portion.
Yeah. But my point is, if you go back to his youth days, I remember watching a game on ITV against Chelsea where it was him, Bukayo, and a bunch of the youngsters, and Balogun was there. Thank you. And like, he was the one. He took on Conor Gallagher consistently, and Gallagher came out and was like, "This is the hardest game I ever played," because he just couldn't compete with him. He was consistently winning his duels, progressing the ball, finding his man up front, and running the game from deep. And that's why I do feel Emil has a higher ceiling than Bukayo at this moment in time. In terms of signing of the season, I'm actually going to give it to Ben. I think Ben has actually proven a lot of people wrong. I think he's gone and taken this ability to run our progression from the first phase, run it through, and be able to take the ball up the field, allowing us to play that higher line at the court, working in this dark arts nature of his game. Like he's improved leaps and bounds. He's not just this right-sided centre back that can play at right back in a 3 that everyone thought he was. He's quite clearly one of the best right centre backs in the league. And it's clear. It was obviously between him and Aaron. I mean, Aaron's had a great season as well. Definitely in the race for goalkeeper of the season. But I feel like everyone's going at Ramsdale, and Ben White is not getting the praise he's very, very much earned, because that defensive record is just as much on him and Gabriel and Tierney and Tavares, Tomiyasu, Cedric, as well as Ramsdale. And
When we
even
talk
Leno
about
for that one
defensive,
clean
I mean,
sheet.
even our attacking improvement, I got so much stick when I said that Ben White, that signing will improve our attacking fluidity. That was one of my biggest things that I said. And, you know, he is the guy that basically starts all our attacks. He's, you know, he's the one that forces the issue. He drives in midfield. He pushes play up. He gets us up the pitch. And, you know, I don't think we necessarily, without Saliba kind of in the squad, we don't have a replacement for somebody like that starts our buildup. He has so much responsibility. But yeah, Chris, I'll go to you, mate. Same kind of question. It kind of seems useless for player this season. I think everyone's is Saka because he's, you know, so good. But I'll go same question to you. But mainly, which youngster do you think has the highest ceiling? And we'll include, you know, Saliba, you know, in that, and people that we have, of course. Maybe you like Daniel Ballard. Maybe you're one of those. But you know, who do you think
Maybe
for
you're a
you
Brook
has
Norton
the?
coffee guy.
Who do you think has the highest ceiling, and who's your player of the season? And
Say Brook, go on. Say
CK
Brook.
is gonna say
I
something
don't
crazy.
think Brook has the highest ceiling, but he has been my favorite youngster for a long
Time, I
time.
know.
I said it here, like on the youngster podcast a long time ago. Obviously Saka player of the season. He's top 10 GA in the league. Yeah, I think Ramsdale and Ben White changed our signing. Going into the season, I thought it would be Onana and Saliba, and I even made a post that Onana and Saliba, who I thought it would be, guarantee us 10 more goals and will decrease 10 goals just from them two signings alone. And obviously it's been White and Ramsdale who have been very good. Since after Man City, which was the third game of the season, we played 25 games, only conceded 22, while scoring the third most in the league in that point. And like for the past, I don't like. So if we go back a year and you ask me which youngster do I think will have the highest ceiling, I think Martinelli would have been my immediate answer. But going into this season and the changes I've seen from certain players, I think Martinelli might be my front runner, but it always changes. Like you could ask me in a month and my answer would probably change. But I think Saka is the best technically and the highest IQ player of all of them, and has just shown that from his ability to translate his game, regardless of the angle on the pitch, like his position, like his responsibility. Left centre mid, 10, right wing, left back, right back. Like he's done it all. So yeah, I'll say Martinelli just because he hasn't been said. I'll say Martinelli, and I have a feeling you're gonna say Saliba. Obviously, you being Saliba season. So
I mean,
Of
yeah.
I think Martinelli probably.
Let me just say something. I back you on the
There's a
Martinelli
reason why
thing.
he said I'll add Saliba into it.
I definitely do think Martinelli is probably one of the highest ceilings in the team. But I just want to give a random shout out to another player that a lot of people are really thinking about, Nuno Tavares. If Nuno Tavares can figure it out, like with his attacking output from that left back spot and the way that the left back and right back are used in today's game, I think he would be able to offer us as much attacking wise as Kieran Tierney and maybe even more. But defensively is the problem. I don't know if he has that side of his game yet. If he can figure that all out, and we can figure out a way to get him into the team when or him and Kieran Tierney have some rotation situation, I really do believe Tavares could be someone to surprise people going forward in the next.
I mean, him and
I do think
Sambi,
he'll
right?
be a
They have
very
the
good
same. They have the same issue, right? Like really quickly, like Mikel made those bets, by the way. Like a lot of our bench players, when you look at it, exciting
position.
on the ball talents, but off the ball positionally, as well as, you know, their ability back to goal, you know, while they're all athletes, they have some tweaks that they need to do, right? And that was a bet that Mikel made, you know. That's a very specific bet because, you know, I think Lokonga and Tavares have those similar flaws in their game. On the ball are where their benefits are, right? They're both athletes in their own right, but, you know, it's really that off the ball thing that I think Mikel trusts himself to fix. And to be fair, that's one of his bread and butter beyond La Paza. But sorry, yeah, Chris, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying on Nuno, I think he'll be a very, very good left back and has like a very good final ball and is consistent with both feet. But I don't think he has higher potential than Tierney, just because I think physically, like with the ball striking and the explosiveness, he can't match Tierney. And I think Tierney just is maybe a bit has better tempo control than Nuno, because sometimes he'll come on like the 80th minute and we need someone to just calm down the play, and he just kicks the ball and runs after it. Like, I think he has a lot to learn from Arteta, and it was clear when we bought him that he had a lot of positioning issues. Like, he used to get subbed off at half time because a goal would be conceded just because of him. So
CK, I have to challenge you on something though. Don't you feel like a lot of the stuff you're mentioning is intangibles for Kieran Tierney, where when you look at the actual talent and the ability, it's not the issue for me. It's more the fact that he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the mentality at this moment in time. He doesn't have like the little intangibles that Kieran Tierney has in comparison to the ability to get past somebody or the explosiveness. Because I would say he does have that. He just doesn't know how to use it yet. Where Kieran Tierney knows how to get around and how to maneuver.
I think
around
there's so much in Tierney that we haven't seen that he did at Celtic. Like, there's so much in his game that he was doing at 18 years old that he still hasn't done here. Like, he's got great close control, great combination play, and he's an elite ball striker. Like, he's top 2-3 ball strikers in our team, and we just haven't seen it. Like, this guy used to score goals from 30, 40 yards out, top corner at 18, and we just haven't seen so much in his game. So I think people underappreciate Tierney, and he's probably our most underappreciated player this whole season, and he's been very good recently.
Look, he's come under criticism from a role change that doesn't suit him, very much like Granit Xhaka, who, with this change in system, which I've always said is a little bit of a philosophy thing versus a Band-Aid thing, but I think that's a topic for another day. Guys in the chat, you guys let us know what you think of the futures. Tavares, Tierney, are you with EGAL? Do you think he's maybe somebody that isn't talked about enough, a little bit of an unsung hero that could bloom really late? What are your thoughts on Tierney and his season?
Next season, sorry to cut you off, but if we do get Champions League football and stay in the cups, he could get 20.
He will play a lot of games. Yeah.
Well, look,
Carabao, FA Cup, etc.
Everybody will, guys. Look, not to again. Not to. I love doing it. I'm going to be a little narcissistic and pat on the back. We finally got that 5 game a season. So this, I very famously said, we're going to have finishers in the squad. And I think fans need to start getting a little bit comfortable with that depth, because we're going to have to look at players to finish games. With that rule change, it opens up a lot of possibilities about what coaches can do to try to help control games. But I'm cognizant, EGAL, mate, you probably have a couple more minutes
Can I just mention one thing? I am very eager to find out when this North London derby is going to be scheduled. Is it going to happen the second last game week, or is it going to happen, as they're saying right now, that it could be on the 9th of May? And depending on when it is, that will let us know.
After Liverpool,
imagine if it's the second last game week, and that game is like a crucial game to make sure we don't drop 3 points to get us closer to them a lot, and then put pressure on us for the last couple of games. Or if it's a game that's absolutely meaningless and it's just for bragging rights, I'll absolutely love that too, because that would mean top 4 is already solidified by us. But yeah, personally for me, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I said it December 28th when I seen these guys, the way they're performing, Manchester United, and I watched that Southampton game for Tottenham where they drew away at St. Mary's. Tottenham are too inconsistent. Manchester United are absolutely in the mud, and they know they are. They're already conceding to me. Every single Manchester United fan that I've spoken to has apologized to me and said, you know what, how many Manchester United players get into the Arsenal team at this moment in time? And they themselves told me 0. And people have apologized about their takes about Ben White. They've apologized about their takes about Ramsdale. They've apologized about everything, to the point where the only thing they can make fun of us is if you've been Arteta in or out as an Arsenal fan, and people who change their stance on the manager. But hey, I think top 4 is pretty much solidified. It's just, when is it going to happen? And to big up to you guys, because I know you guys get a lot of grief from our fan base, but right now there's nothing better than to be an Arsenal fan at this moment in time, because everyone's just positive. The vibes are good. The kit came out today, and usually
that kit is lovely, isn't it?
Usually you have people get angry saying, why are people celebrating a kit? But majority of the comments today has been about, it's going to be nice having those Champions League badges on the black kit.
Adidas know, bro, that we're going in the lights. That's why.
There might be one thing better as a football fan right now, is being a Canada fan. That's probably the only fan name.
Nah, bro, it's
Yeah,
Arsenal. It's Arsenal right now. We'll do a Canada special pod. I'll definitely get a gal on
No,
for
you
that.
won't.
Maybe we'll get some,
Definitely.
Canadian fans
you
on
won't.
here. We'll do a little
No,
special,
man.
just led by me. But look,
Listen,
mate, how
I'll
happy
tell
are
you
you
this,
though?
listen.
Really quickly, it's
I need
crazy.
to know quickly,
Hmm.
guys. Expectations for next season, because I'm already looking past this season. I'm thinking Champions League's in the bag.
I was gonna say, mate, because before you go, I want to hear yours, and we'll definitely give you ours. Like, what? Okay, really quickly, positions that you really think to take us to the next level, and what your expectations are. Same question. I want yours.
For
What do you
me,
think?
solidify top 4 next season, hopefully just like this season. I want to get into a round of 16 minimum, but once we get into a round of 16, it's luck of the draw. If we get into a cheeky quarterfinals, that would be massive. That would be massive for this young team, right? But regardless, wherever we finish, we have to at least be in the round of 16. If we don't get into a round of 16, it's going to be a little bit of a question mark over our if we have what it takes to do that. Also, major improvements need to happen in the summer. We need to at least bring in a striker, bring in some midfield help, bring in another versatile winger to go with the striker. I don't know. We're hearing a lot of names. I'm not an expert on transfers yet. We'll wait until the summer to find out. And then what is the last thing? Oh, it would be nice to win a League Cup or FA Cup, but at least if we're not going to win it, be as further as possible in the competition as possible. I don't want all this stuff about exiting the competitions as soon as possible and throwing it away. I don't want that. I want to at least try to compete on all fronts. And when I say try to compete on all fronts, I don't want no one changing my words. All I mean is the word as it means, compete. I don't think we're going to win it. I don't think we're going to destroy the competition. No.
Put your name in the hat. You want to be there.
Yeah. Because apparently compete now means you have to finish 1 or 2. But
No, we're similar, bro. I think for us, just confirm your top 4 status, get a cup, and I would like quarterfinals. I think that the level in Europe is a lot different now, and I think that we're going to be a lot better than people think. I don't think the European level is as good as what people think. There's actually a lot harder areas in the Premier League. For me, I'm kind of similar. I think we know striker, midfielder, and a versatile winger is kind of the play that the club's looking at. But for me, it's about more confirming our status next season, because the transfer window is going to basically complete our starting 11. I still think we need depth to challenge. That's always been my thing. So my third season is go for the big trophies. But I think going into next season, let's confirm, let's get a domestic cup and quarterfinals of the European League, just to get that out of the way. That's kind of really quick expectations. But mate, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
that's cool, man.
I wanted to give you a platform. Maybe you can shout out your socials, your channel, which is amazing for people to go check out before you go.
Yeah, guys, you already know what it is. The link's right there. It's EGTV on that's my Twitter page, and my actual YouTube channel is called EGTV. Big up to CK, original, one of the guys I always had on my channel, introduced me to George and Curran. So it's nice to see you guys doing your own thing. Love to see people doing their own thing. And if you guys ever need me in the summer or anytime, just hit me up, man. I'm always welcome to come on. It's just unfortunately I have to go to the office.
No worries, man. No worries.
So I have to leave. But I'll tell you this: if we're in the Champions League, just look at the group stages. And I looked at the even though we've been out of Europe this year, we would be in pot 2 going into next year. So no
because of our
matter
history, mate.
no matter what, we're going to be in pot 2. So that means it's not going to be as tough as people think it's going to be. Just knock on wood. Hopefully, we don't get a very tough pot 3 team if we do get Champions League. But right now, we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to focus on getting Champions League football. We'll talk about it. You guys have a good day, guys.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
glad to have him on, mate. So yeah, good thing. So guys, look in the chat. We maybe didn't get a chance. We kind of rushed through some of the awards. Maybe we'll just have a convo about top 4 before we get maybe to relegation. Really chill part of the chat. We will definitely. You guys put some questions on. I know you guys love the freaking transfer stuff, but maybe if we keep that for a little bit later.
How about we do this, right? Because this is something we've always talked about, just off stream. Like, what are the key positions that use it to EGAL? What are the key positions we need in the summer, and then we can go on to the rest of the stuff. Because I think everyone we are sometimes. I feel personally, this is why I've done a couple of the threads that I've done recently, because of the misconception of what we need and how we need to go forward. I mean, what do you guys think?
Sure, if you want, you want to do transfer, Chris. What do you think?
I don't want to do that. You know,
It's not transfer, not even transfer. Just key positions that we need in.
All right, really quickly, I'm going to give you men in the chat. You've got about 10-15 seconds while we deliberate. You want your transfers now, or you want it to go top 4 race / relegation battle? So it's up to you. We'll let the people decide because we're a channel for the fans, made by the fans. You know, a little quick plug there. But look, so while we let you know that everybody kind of down below, just comment really quickly. You guys want transfers? You want other season breakdown? But look, really quickly, it was great to have EGAL on. Of course, we're going to have that little Canadian chat at some point. But guys, look, we're now approaching the end of the international break. We've got some interesting games to crop up. I still think by the time this time kind of in the next month, we'll really know kind of where we're at. But I think everybody really wants transfers later. Okay, so you know what? Sorry,
Cool.
Kern, you've been over.
No worries. No worries.
We're gonna.
They're with you. I mean, the one thing I will say while we are talking about the channel, we have CK has his vlog coming out for members coming out this week, I think.
Yes.
I've got a special video planned for the members as well that's going to come out very much. There'll be a preview on the channel. I've put a lot of work into it. It's going to be a good half an hour, 40-minute breakdown of a special team in the Premier League's history. That's all I'm going to say. The main thing I'm going to say to you is please engage. If you do want to become a member, be a member. There's going to be a lot of content for members. I'm putting a lot of effort in. I know CK is putting a lot of effort in. George is as well, and Willow is as well. We're all going to put a lot of effort into both here on the main channel and for the members as well, because we do really appreciate you guys. If you do subscribe for the membership, we do want to make sure that the content is good for you guys, and we're not just saying it. So I think we can move into the rest of the season now. Do you want to get? Should we get? I remember seeing something earlier. I'm going to get the last 10 games for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. While you get that up, I'll set the scene. So, guys, look, we're gonna do a really quick breakdown of top 4. Obviously, you know the issue. So, first team breakdown that we're gonna do is, for me, Spurs. They're so kind of on paper our biggest rivals. I still, again, respectfully, guys, I really don't think there are going to be really much rivals for top 4. But for me, they are the closest. I think Man United have kind of closed that chapter, if I'm really being honest. But let's talk Spurs. Let's talk their chances for top 4, because there's a lot of real weird narrative there. So when you look at their Spurs fixtures list, you know, everyone keeps telling me that they're easy fixtures, but in reality, when you do go through it, guys, you know that Spurs have dropped points more so with teams outside the top 6 than they have the top 6. They are Arsenal under Unai Emery. And what kills me about some of the narrative is when you look at it, we have seen the idea of overperformance when you look at a team. They've got that Harry Kane-Son partnership that's gotten them over a lot of really poor general play. They haven't really outmastered their opponents, especially low blocks. So when people are telling me that their fixtures are really quite easy, and of course we've got all the fixtures kind of up on the screen right now, guys, these are the teams that they've struggled against all season. So when you're talking about narrative, you know, yes, those fixtures are easy, but they haven't been for Spurs. That's been the key points. You talk about Aston Villa, Brighton, Brentford, who, by the way, have David Raya back, Ivan Toney, Josh Da Silva. This is not the same team. Newcastle, resurgent under, you know, that new owner bounce. Like, when you look at it, it isn't as easy as what they keep saying. Why? Because they've struggled against these teams. And when you look at it, what are their problems? I still believe they have no buildup. I believe that they've struggled in terms of only having outlets that go A to B. They've really struggled in terms of a press. You know, when you look at Antonio Conte, they have made them a little bit more low block, but you know, they get moved very easily by number 10s that roam between the lines. That's always been an Antonio Conte weakness, even back in his Chelsea days. You know, if you've put people between the lines for that Spurs team, they struggle. And as long as they're in a basketball game, they look good, which is why they look good against shock results with City and other teams. But what just kills me is we're seeing Unai Emery 2018-19 Obazet all over again for me. And we know that when you overperform like that, you're not able to sustain results. Where do you guys stand on this idea that, you know, Spurs are a rival for top 4? Because for me, it blows me apart. So I'll go to Chris first, mate. Like, for me, there's too many issues in that team. I really touched on them briefly, but for you, why do you believe that maybe they're not really a rival, or what scares you the most? I guess it's a bad question because I know nothing scares us about the rivals, but for you, Why do you think people are so worried about Spurs?
Because of maths. Because they're 3 points behind us.
Yeah.
3 points behind us, but we have a game in hand against them. So, say we win that game in hand, well, 6 points above them, and then we see why we'll be yet to play them. So, I think people are just looking at the numbers and getting kind of scared because they don't fully believe in this team yet, and just they don't want to get ahead of themselves because we've been in this position before with Emery, where we had top 4 in our hands and we just let go of it. Even though I think we're a very different mentality, and the players have to beat this narrative from the fans because I don't think the players think this. A lot of the players weren't even here when that happened with Emery. Saka is probably one of the only ones that was here, and he was 17. So yeah, I think that's what's scaring people, and just how the fixtures look easy. But Newcastle, before recently, they didn't lose a game the whole of the year, the whole of 2022.
That's what's making me surprised. And they're at home at St. James's Park. Like, that's not an easy fixture.
They've been on great form. Since
Are they at St. James's Park? No, I don't think they're at St. James's Park. They're at White Hart Lane. St. James's
It's
Park
at
they went to
Tottenham.
already earlier in the
Yeah,
season.
Oh, sorry, they're at Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah, they've lost obviously the last 2 games, Everton and Chelsea. That Everton game was crazy, but before that, they beat everyone. They had 5 wins out of 6. So they were on very good form and are looking like they'll be out of that relegation race. So I think that is a game for Tottenham to fear. Obviously, they're at home and they should win. And what to fear from Tottenham is that they've got clinical finishers in Son and Kane. And obviously, quality can win you games, but overall structure is what helps you sustain a run. Tottenham haven't been able to do that. They haven't been able to even win 3 games in a row all season. They either win 2 or draw, or win 1 then lose immediately. This is their first time winning 2 in a row in a
season.
in a couple of months.
Yeah.
No, not all season. They didn't they win.
They did it earlier in the season.
They did it earlier in the season, but they still haven't won 3 in a row. And
Yeah.
they've got a great partnership in Kane and Son, and that's going to win you games. I can't lie here. That is going to win you games, but to get a consistent run going against some very good systems, and like Brentford are a very good team. Not very good, but they're a good team with a very good system. Aston Villa have proven to have a decent system recently with Gerrard and can cause teams trouble in transition. And if Spurs give up the ball versus Aston Villa, they could lose. Like, I think the quality gap between top and bottom in this league is something to fear when you can't put a distinct gap between you and the bottom. Like, Tottenham haven't shown that they can consistently beat the worst teams in the league. They've got points against City and stuff, which is what scares people. I think that's, if we go down to it, I think that's really what scares people, that they beat City, which automatically means they can beat anyone.
Well, that's why I make the comparison that they're 18-19 over Zet, right? Like, it's a matter. And by the way, we actually in that season did very well against teams in a
They were better though. Obo and Laka were better. They were best.
They were far better.
They were the most efficient partnership in Prem history. So they have that. They've got very good efficiency, but apart from that, I don't think anything. I think by the end of April, this will be a very small conversation.
It's ultimately what it comes down to, guys, is it's about sustaining
it is a
pressure.
Conversation, but not to me though.
No, but look,
no, I don't even think it'll be mathematically at the end of the next month. Seriously.
No, I think it'll be sooner, but I think ultimately when you look at analyzing this team, okay, what their fixtures have right now are basically really great mid-blocks. Look at them. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Brentford. Those are excellent structure teams, really good in terms of, pressing forward, being able to have a nice little area in their mid-block. They can press high. Brentford, Brighton, Burnley. Again, these are teams that, they struggle against. And the reason they struggle against is once they sit there into their block, they don't have the midfield or the defense to move. This is what fundamentally it is. They rely on their outlets to get free. And if you close the space for them to run, they don't know what to do. Because, Harry Kane's been dropping a lot deeper than he even has in recent seasons, right? Like, it's been crazy. He's really a number 10 at this point.
All their goals came from him.
Exactly. And if you cut down the space to release Son, they don't have an answer. And they've shown consistently that they don't. So again, when I look at the remaining fixtures that they have left there, a lot of the same problems I'm seeing, and they haven't shown an ability to move teams. Arsenal have moved teams. That's been the biggest reason why we've increased our attacking efficiency. And it's because we have a midfield and defense really that can speed progression really quickly. We have a settled block that's really, really good. Spurs don't have a very good settled block. They don't defend well. And that's why they fare well kind of in those big games, right? Like they prefer those basketball games because
Not
if you
even
make
those
it
big games. It's one big game, one big team that consistently not even underestimates them, but just allows the space in transition. And City aren't the best team in the world in transition. They're very good
No.
and better than a lot of teams, but in transition, they can get right. If Kane's going to drop deep to the halfway line and then Son is going to play versus Cancelo, because I don't think Kyle Walker was there. If Son's going to be on Cancelo's shoulder, he's going to get in behind. So City are going to concede. And they just waste chances versus Spurs. It's an issue with Pep. They haven't beat Spurs at Spurs' ground in like 3-4 years.
So part of the reason is Oliver, I might be butchering your name, mate. Sorry. But look, he makes a really good point that a lot of teams really do struggle with this in terms of look. And by the way, I hate when everyone says that someone that drops deep is a false nine. But anyways, I digress. When you have Kane that drops deep, effectively, I'll answer it really quickly. As a coach, you have to pass off assignments, and it's about your zones. This is the biggest thing about having a dribbler against judo to position teams, or positional play in general. They force you to bring your markers out, and if you follow them outside your zone, you destroy the system. So what it is about effective communication, and the center back should not follow deep. In fact, he should pass that off to a midfielder that's in close proximity. That's really what should happen in this. But when you do have a center back that comes in, like West Ham, for example, when Zuma was really touch tight to Harry Kane, ridiculous. He has to allow his midfielder, who's already there, by the way, to take control of that situation. When you end up leaving your zone like that, you leave yourself susceptible to like the knock on from Son. And look, that is the reason that they win games there is that, Harry Kane's going to drop deep. So if you're going to effectively be able to marshal that, then yeah, great. You can basically stop Spurs. But Kern, mate, I'll go to you lastly. Spurs, what for you is the best way that they can get top four? So I'll ask like a slightly different question. We kind of broke down the cons. What is a way that Spurs can beat us, in a sense, beat what we're saying? How can they get top four?
Well, they'll have to.
Oh, and really quickly, I'm not Spanish. I know I talk with my hands. I'm Greek, but yeah.
This is really hard for me because I feel like if they are to get top four, they're going to have to rework their midfield. They need Skip fit. It's like 100%. He has to be fit. I think they've really missed him. I think Bentancur,
he's out for a while though, isn't he? Skip.
This is the thing. So I don't trust Højbjerg and Bentancur together. It feels like they're both quite slow. They're bad at transition, and a major thing for me is if you look at Spurs, they drop so deep in their block because they want to bait the transition. That if you literally, there's so much space in between the lines with as you mentioned earlier. There's so much space in between the lines in their block because they're always trying to bait you, trying to suck you into that line so they can spring on you. But when they win the ball, if they want to beat us, if they want to get top four, they're going to have to capitalize. They're going to have to be perfect, basically. That game plan, whenever they see a counter, they have to score, because that system you can only bait so long before you can see the chance. That's what happened against Southampton, against Burnley. I remember earlier in the season when they lost to Burnley, I did a thread on it, and there were like 7 people inside the box from Spurs, and there were still spaces in between the lines because their block is so deep. They leave so much space in front, which allows you to basically cut back and produce chances from the half space so easily. They're just going to have to be perfect, because the thing is, they have not only played a game more, they are 3 points behind, and yet everyone seems to think they're favourites because they won the last 2. For me, they have to be perfect. They have to really seize on every opportunity. They have to make sure their outlets are healthy. They have to make sure that they have the ability to hit Kane consistently in swivel, because that's their whole game plan. Hit Kane, swivel. It's basically return to Mourinho ball, but with a bit of Conte like induced into it. And some of the games they've had here is they are winnable games. But the thing is, Leicester are getting better again. Fofana's back. You have Brighton, who again they have not been great, and they might be a little bit on the beach, but that's never an easy game. Aston Villa, we saw how tricky it could be. For us, I feel like it's a team that is suited to us because our play is so much centered around width, and with their Christmas tree blockers, you like to put it, it's very much a case where you can exploit wide. But all of Spurs' attack centers through Kane, who is central. And if you don't have that ability to really stretch the pitch, Son's going to have to be wide, Reguilon's going to have to be wide, or
they don't have
Emerson
effective width. There's a very big
They don't
difference.
have a width. This is the thing.
There's a very big difference for me. Like when people talk about outlets and effective width, those are very different conversations, right? So for us, for example, we have Saka, who's just an immense outlet that does provide width. We have Martinelli, who is an excellent outlet but provides width. The difference with Spurs is they don't have a reliable outlet that provides width.
No.
What they really do have is reliable runners. And that's very, very different. And for me, you can block runners. But if you don't have a reliable width outlet, you can't stretch the pitch. You make the pitch small, and you make it easy to defend against, because by making the pitch small, when you really only have an effective runner, you don't have effective width. It means that block, which is what your Newcastles, your Villas, your Brightons, your Brentfords, what they all do is they sit in between the 18-yard box. They sit in well. They know how to camp. And if you don't stretch, kind of like how you have a yo-yo, that's really what we look for in a coach's aspect. When you provide width, you want to open that block up a bit. And then when you combine that with effective runners, that's when you can hurt teams. Spurs don't have that. They just have the effective runner part. And so therefore...
One question I want to ask you guys is, what do you make of Kulusevski? Because apparently he's better than Bukayo Saka now. There's a whole conversation going on there.
Well, no, he's
a decent player, but
no, I liked Kulusevski. I thought for myself, like I prefer his type of profile in a backup attacking midfielder role, / right wing, than other players in terms of a profile. I thought he would be very good, but he hasn't shown anything other than being an effective bench player at the top level. Like that, in terms of a lot of his goals, they've been pretty scrappy. He's done well in moments, but he plays well when it's a running game. That's what it is. He's very stiff at low blocks and mid blocks. He doesn't solve any of their problems, and he's just another outlet that's A to B. Probably a more effective outlet. You could say, he's probably one of the more effective outlets that they've got, but they already had those. He, again, is somebody that does his best work inside. And what we kind of already said before, they need an effective outlet that provides width. And so, again, he just doesn't ultimately solve any of, Spurs' major problems. How about you, Chris?
I think with Kulusevski is that, he always wants to be inside. He never wants to receive on the outside and come in. He can do it, but he doesn't want to be out there. And he doesn't, I've rarely seen him shoot on his right foot. And he wants a lot of time and space.
He likes that cut.
To shoot with an exact technique. Like, I rarely see him change up. And I think that's a lot to do with Spurs. That there's barely any variability in this team. That they score one way, and it's Kane dropping deep to collect, swivel, and putting in a ball in behind. They score in one way, and it's worked for them to a certain extent. But they need to find some variability. If they do the question, which was if they get top 4, how will they do it? They also need to do something they haven't done, which is win more than 2 games in a row. Like they need to win 4 or 5 games in a row, 6, to even mount this top 4 challenge. Assuming Arsenal continue the way they have, Spurs need to win like 6, 7 games in a row out of their next 9. They have 9 games left, so I think they need to win like 7 out of the 9 to get top 4 for me. And I don't think they'll be able to do that. I think they do have like some reliability with Son, but he also likes to receive inside as well. The right back situation has been poor, and there's no reliability.
There's no reliability with me. That really
apart from that Kane ball, they have no reliable ball into the box at all. No
But
crossing from the
that's
right
why
or left.
it's one-stop shop. It's the same move, and on top of that, when you've got essentially, by the way, they've also got very front-footed aggressive defenders. That doesn't work well if you don't have a good block, right? Like when you look at Romero, you look at Dyer, these guys dive in, they step up very tight to their markers, and you can spin them. It's very easy to spin them, and if you have effective width wide, which again, by the way, a lot of these teams that have low blocks they do their best work in outlet play. And it's why it's very tough for
because
Spurs
that's
to
how
really
they set
compete.
up. They have to set up. They have to step back to get the
Well,
ball,
I mean,
get it out.
if you're going to sit deep in a block, right, guys,
There's
like
going to be
very
space wide.
there's always space out wide. So that is the thing with
I
Spurs.
think I've got something that perfectly illustrates that. Just give me a second. So basically, you can see this is against Burnley, and you can see the space out wide in between the lines. You can see the amount of time that the
But
man on the
Conte
ball
always
has.
does that, mate. Like that space between the lines that you talk about. That's what I meant when I talk about kind of floating tens in between the lines. That's always been a problem for
Killed him
Conte.
his whole career, though.
Yeah, it's always been a problem. And of course, there's the space wide. But guys, Dwight McNeil, for example, who's on the far right or far left, sorry, of your screen. That's typically what Burnley show is what a lot of the bottom teams have. So you've got your Ivan Toney that likes to drop deep in that Kane role. But even for them, Bueno, who's really been great for them out wide. And of course, Josh Da Silva really likes that overlap. I know he hasn't had a chance to really show it, but those teams, Cucurella for Brighton, effective wide play with runners, right? That you need to combine both areas to be an effective top 4 team. And look, I don't want to spend too much more time on Spurs. We'll probably go. I don't feel comfortable putting Chelsea. Do you guys really want to talk about Chelsea in a top 4 battle? I think that's ridiculous.
I think
really.
Chelsea is not a top 4 battle, but I don't think they're
battle for third
as
sort of
comfortable
thing.
where they are. If you get what I mean, I don't think they're comfortably third as like they were a couple months ago.
I personally very much I'm the one that's opposite to these two. I think they're very comfortably third.
I'm in the middle. Okay, don't put me with this guy. I'm in the middle.
Well, for me, we can do. Why don't we do Chelsea really quick? I think they're very comfortably third, and the reason is they've got Reece James coming back, and that guy's been basically their best player all season, who's been phenomenal. He's my type of right back. He makes them click because they didn't have width. They lost Chilwell. They lost himself. Chilwell will probably be out for the season, but they, for me, have always had far too much quality to really get dragged into this kind of top 4
I don't think
battle.
they will be. I don't think there's a chance Chelsea finish outside the top 4.
No,
but I don't even think 4th is on the cards. Like I think they will pull away.
I've always thought that. I think, with Reece James, he's their only reliable outlet, only consistent outlet, which is a joke, by the way. Like for Reece James to be your only consistent outlet, out wide, the whole season is really like a joke for what Chelsea have. Like, I think we saw the contrast for when Reece James is there. They win 4-0 and he has a hand in every single goal. And the week after, they struggle to score to the 90th minute for Havertz to score in the 90th minute. Like it's a big difference without having someone that good on the overlap and that good in duels on the pitch. I think obviously his injuries hurt them, and I wouldn't be saying that we could get third if Reece James was fit the whole season, because they don't have the trouble that they've had the past couple of months without being able to score and without consistently getting goals. And obviously, guys like Havertz have been getting praised recently for getting goals, but he's been shit. Like he hasn't been playing well. Pulisic hasn't been playing well. Like their whole front line isn't consistent enough for me to comfortably say, oh, without Reece James, they're gonna win as much as they need to win.
I mean, look, I really push back because I mean Reece James is back now, so that kind of that outlet play and that reliability in attack, which by the way has only happened when he's been in the team. It is ridiculous, but ultimately he's back, and they do have a control of games that is similar to us. So they have a very good coach, a very good structure. So they will always make games difficult for the opponent. When you add basically their best outlet, for me, it's always been really clear that they're going to get third. We just don't have the quality, and I didn't expect us to have the quality to really compete with them. But I think with Chelsea, the biggest thing that they do need to fix is, of course, that outlet play. But for me, they don't have enough flexibility in attack. I think that they're flirting between this system, between a back 4 and a back 3, that ultimately they don't have the midfield to really commit to. So if I was Chelsea and I was trying to fix Chelsea, they do need a little bit more of a reliable anchor as well as a reliable outlet that is a little bit more kind of ball to feet, but wide. Like I'm thinking more along the lines of your Rafinhas, those type of
There's
players.
a reason why he's linked. I think that's a pretty decent signing for them.
I mean, even Ousmane Dembele, who on a free, that's something that I know that they would be interested in. And then of course, the Tchouaméni is something that of course they've always been, interested in that kind of player because they need an anchor to really allow themselves to run. But I think Chelsea and Tuchel really himself needs to be a lot more flexible if he's going to make that jump from actually competing for the title. Like that needed to always be the jump for me. But guys, should we go to everyone's favorite topic in Manchester United? Essentially,
Yes,
I don't know if I really.
Chelsea are better than us. I do want to clarify that because obviously I've predicted us to finish third and all this or whatnot. But and Mount and Cho are injured, by the way. Mount and Hudson-Odoi are still injured. But Reece James is back.
Short-term one though, right?
No, they missed the last game and they won't be back this weekend.
No, but Mount's like a short-term injury. Chilwell's out, period. But Mount will be back. I don't think they rely on him as much as what you think.
They should, though. But he's an option that they had on the bench, and they do have Champions League coming up with Real Madrid. So, yeah, but let's talk about United, sadly.
Do you guys, and also guys in the comments, you guys let us know. We'll do it for you. Does West Ham and Wolves really deserve a mention for top 4 at this point? I think they've blown their load, so to speak. They've shown their hand. Okay.
I think West Ham have other priorities. Simply, we can see there. Like, if I was West Ham going into, they've got a small squad, small players to rely on, and Bowen isn't.
I mean, I'll quickly do it. I mean, it's quite clear.
If I was a West Ham manager, if I was David Moyes, I'd say 7th is a great position. It's great for what we have in our team. Let's try and maintain that, but put our full focus into Europa League.
It's very much, if you look one
because they're 6. Sorry, Curran, really quickly, mate. Curran, just to preface before you go, they are 6 points with 2 games ahead of us. So I think for me, anytime you're for me, the big magic number is 8 points. I've never seen, because I've seen us beat Spurs with that. I have to put in that dig, but we've done that in 2 months, and that for me is the litmus test. You cannot overachieve after eight points, and if you have, for me, you need to have at least 8 games left. You can't overturn 8 points in 8 games. So for me, already at 6, and we have 2 games in hand. So even with 1, it's not feasible for them to turn around. But I'll take it to you, Curran, mate. Like you can take West Ham really quickly.
Yeah, no, I'll do West Ham, and I'll do my Man United thoughts as well. But basically, West Ham is quite simple for me. Europa League quarterfinal, Burnley at home, then Chelsea away, Europa League semi-final. If they make it, then us, and then another Europa League semi-final. I mean, for their squad, look at Man United, Man City at home, and then the Europa League final. I mean, come on, lads. I don't think that's true, by the way. I think the Europa League final is after the end of the season. But even if it isn't, to have 4 games and have Chelsea, Arsenal in between 2 Europa League semi-finals is I think ridiculous. And in terms of Man United, look, I'm not going to say, I don't think any of us are going to be here and say that United have no chance. But the fact of the matter is Man United have, every week that goes by, something is going on with that club. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, and the thing is, usually we like talking, and this is born of a passion, we like talking about what's on the pitch. And on the pitch, obviously, there are massive deficiencies in terms of the lack of cohesion and build-up, the inability to create chances in high volume with high quality consistently, back four that lacks confidence and continuity. These problems can go on, but off the field, everything consistently goes wrong for them. They have no idea about who wants to play, who doesn't want to play. Edison Cavani injured again. Rashford lacking confidence. Sancho looking decent, and he's someone that can get things done now. But who's really performing at a consistently high level in that team? The only game that I really fear Man United is at the Emirates, and I don't even fear it that, because I feel like
we play well
they
against
have
them at
that
the Emirates.
they have that one game in them, that they can lift the levels and hit. But I don't see them having that ability to consistently
Mate, it's
time
Old
and time
Trafford,
again.
if anything. What's crazy for me is Old Trafford, if anything, is the one time in that fixture that we've done poorly. We have a great record against United at the Emirates. If you actually look at the head-to-head, we have a great record against them. So I don't know why they're so. They have a very poor record, by the way, at the Emirates. If you actually look at the head-to-head,
it's just because of the propaganda that they get. Every pundit's a Man United ex-player. Every pundit is it's Man United, but this is Manchester United. Like it's just what it is. It's the mentality that you have, the entitlement that fan base has, that it's just Arsenal. We will go and beat them.
But part of the problem, Kern, mate, is this delusion in terms of not understanding what you have. So, like, let's properly break down the issues at United, and I'll go firstly kind of to Chris, and I'll just preface this by saying we all said it in the summer. Ronaldo will screw up your balance. Ronaldo and what he demands as a person in the team will screw up the balance that made you guys the best of the rest. And by the way, not playing well, but the best of the rest. When you look at it, they don't have a midfield that can easily sustain pressure, progress the ball. They have a huge hole in midfield, in fact. They don't have themselves effective wide outlets, and they don't play with a cohesion, or they don't rather have even the stamina to kind of play properly. I don't even think they're fit, guys. I'll be honest. They remind me so much of us at that beginning end stage of Wenger and that first stage of Unai Emery. Like those first couple of months, it reminds me so much of that, where every other week there is a gossip mill. Like it's crazy. They are a weekly comedy show. They're a weekly soap opera about who is going to come out about how they don't like the tactics next. You've got players refuting what a manager is saying. There's a crazy amount of player power there. For me, it's a poison chalice, whoever goes in there. Ultimately, you're not going to get the control that you need and the leeway to do what a lot of what Mikel has done, which is basically gut the influences out and reset the culture down there. But Chris, I'll go to you, mate. Like, why do you think that they're out of the race for top four?
Can I just say because they're shit? I think obviously going into the season, Rashford hasn't been fit in 2 years. He was playing on an injury under Oli. He comes back and he gets re-injured again. In the summer, he didn't go to it. In the summer, he almost didn't go to England just to have surgery. Comes into the season, finally has that surgery that he should have had a year ago. And then he doesn't start the season well. United, Pogba starts the season well, gets injured. He comes back and he's okay. Cavani's injured every month. He's played 5 Premier League games in 2022. Ronaldo has scored 1 goal in the last, before Spurs scored 1 goal in like 2 months. I think there's a big inconsistency with this team. I think Sancho has probably been the most consistent player in this team, which is crazy to say because he hasn't been great this season, which I expected. And I expected him to come into the season being the fall guy. And I was saying it all summer that, sadly for Sancho, that he'll be the fall guy on this team. When
I don't think we expected it this bad, though. I'll be honest. Like I expected.
I said he will be I thought he'd be the fall guy because they won't be able to admit that all the other issues were there just because they finished second.
Did you think that him individually would be as poor as he has done?
I didn't think Shaw wouldn't overlap. So no, I didn't think he'd be this poor. I didn't think he'd be good though.
Good, no, but I mean the level has been shocking for especially a player that me and you.
More than I expected, but certain things have gone into that.
I expected him to get his goals.
I thought Shaw would provide a consistent overlap to allow Sancho to shine at some, but he didn't. Shaw hasn't played well this season. I didn't think Shaw would come off that Euros being a top 10 player in the Euros this poor this season. That's why I didn't think.
Well, part of the problem is when you put somebody like Ronaldo, you have to run for him. And
yes.
When you don't have a Bruno who's going to supply that, and you don't have a Pogba to do that, so, unfortunately, Shaw is left being the runner on the inside, and he's no longer to provide that width, right? And then you've got your Rashford, who, by the way, has been in shocking form. But even if he's an outlet,
the first time he's fit and he's not fit. Like which is crazy to say, but pre-COVID he got injured. He had a shoulder injury going into COVID, and he started playing on the injury after lockdown. He goes into the season injured again, and he finally has surgery this year. So he's been playing on injuries for 2 years now, and he finally gets surgery and then comes back early. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
But mate, the worst part is you're buying somebody like Ronaldo and Sancho, who again, you're buying a profile like, you know, we're talking about how if you're looking at Sancho and you're looking for pace, I'm sorry, mate, like that is not him, and he is still a world-class player. But like you got to know what you're buying, guys, and this is the thing that Manchester United do. And by the way, I'm not complaining because they're doing the thing again. They're linked to Harry Kane. They're linked to an overpriced superstar that doesn't fix their major issues in the squad, that once again neglects their biggest holes. They really need an overhaul in midfield. They need an overhaul in defense. I've said it for time. I don't think
they need a right winger. I don't know how long.
With the Harry Kane thing, I think the debate has already started with like a lot of people have DM'd me and stuff like that. Is that he'll get them top four because he's got Spurs top four, who are a worse team, which is crazy that United fans still actually believe that with only Harry Kane they can still get top four. I think they need to realize that their issues are well beyond one player, and even if Ronaldo leaves, even if a Pogba leaves, which are likely departures, they've got a big issue. Even if that happens, they need to find replacements and need to stop having such big outside influences. Because I look, for example, Arteta, Wenger's one of the greatest men in our history, but he only called for Wenger to come back after we've completely overhauled everything. Because initially he didn't call for Wenger. He didn't ask for Wenger in 2019. He didn't ask for him in 2020 or 2021. It's still only this year he asked for Wenger. I think Sir Alex Ferguson has too big an influence at United, and that needs to change for them to change.
But like, he's always had that influence. What I think for me, and to be fair, Wenger has always had that influence on that squad, but they need a strong enough personality to say that's enough. And you know what? To be fair, Wenger has to get some credit by likewise removing himself from the situation.
He didn't want to come back.
And it's not just that he didn't want to come back. He felt that there needed to be space for him, and that him coming back would put over a cloud of whoever was there. And to have that humility is not something that, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson
it's self-awareness that's needed, because even it's self-awareness that's needed throughout the whole club and fans. They need to realize where they are and what they need to do to change. And
it's that United have is they have this overarching figure. They have this overarching figure on their back.
Look around and see what others have done to change. And Arsenal, Liverpool, teams right in front of you have done drastic things to change what went on for many, many years. So,
but mate, what they did though, like everyone tried to fix things, but we've talked about this in our very first pods about lacking an ethos and identity. One of the very first things that Arsenal did, not just Mikel Arteta, because it started before Mikel Arteta even came to the club, guys. In 2018, what we did was we sat down with Marcel Lucassen. We said, what is the Arsenal way? We developed a way of playing from the academy, and we gutted everybody. We gutted the coaching staff, and we created a method of recruitment, created a method of playing within the club, an ethos identity that everyone agreed on. After that, we just recruited to that identity. We did the same in our scouting department. You know, when you look at it, guys, Dan Michichi, we've talked about this, Kevin Betsy, those are both coaches that were from the England FA setup that, again, coach, shock horror, the U18s and the U23s. There is a plan. There is a distinct plan with football people happening there. You know, Kwame Ampadu was moved from the U18 coach to then help Ben Napier be a loan manager assistant. And Kwame has coached a lot of the U18s that we've seen now.
All of them.
So
every single one. Yeah.
But this is a plan. Like, I hate when people say it's always happened out of the blue. United have never overhauled their infrastructure, and it's not about the stupid bankers that they have on the board. Because, by the way, Per Mertesacker is not on the board like that, guys. He isn't. He fixed the infrastructure behind the scenes. He's not with the David O'Leary, by the way. He's not with Vinay on the top of the board.
No.
We have fixed the rot behind the scenes, and they have yet to do that. They haven't updated their training facility in time. Okay, Colney has undergone major transformations. So when you look at it, they are a team that has no alpha voice that knows what's best for them. They listen too much to, you talk about Sir Alex Ferguson. They listen to media narrative, Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand. They listen to their ex-pros far too often when making major football decisions that they just can't do. And ultimately, when they have this idea that they are just Manchester United and they're going to sit there and get the best names in the league, they cannot have that mentality. You need to absolutely sit there and have a little bit of humility and say, listen, we need a reset in all terms. And that's what Arsenal did. And I'm not saying that you guys have to be like Arsenal, but you have to have that mentality when you're resetting a club. You have to understand, and by the way, not just a club, guys, this happens in business. When something's not working and you have a really poor culture, what do? You got the major influences. You get people in that are on board with your project, and you get allies to really see that vision. So, I mean, when you look at Manchester United, guys, they have a lot in store that they really need to do. For me, I always knew that a center back would be a priority. People laughed at me. Shock horror, the link to a kanji.
We all did. We all said literally. It's the amount of that.
And I talked to some, and they keep saying, well, we bought Varane. I'm like, well, no, you didn't buy well. That was the problem. So you're going to have to buy a center back. You're going to, you guys talk about, right wings. Okay, they have an inside forward, but guys, they need a touchline winger that's able to come in. Karim Adeyemi would be phenomenal for you guys, but you're not even looking at him. And by the way, he's 45 million euros. He came from the freaking RB Leipzig tree, guys. He's at Salzburg.
He's one of them, yeah.
And by the way, he hasn't been snapped up by Dortmund yet. So, at the end of the day, it's not just that. They need a whole revamp in midfield. They probably need 2 or 3 players in midfield. They actually need 3 because Paul Pogba's leaving. So they absolutely need 3.
And they shouldn't, sorry to cut you off, but they shouldn't sign anybody to a contract without a new manager.
No, which stupidly they're doing. Why the hell are you committing David De Gea as well as Bruno Fernandes on major guys? Their contracts go to 2027. They're not like short-term concept. That's when they're going to be 33, 34. So right now, ultimately, and by the way, in terms of top 5 earners, Manchester United have 4 of the 5 top 5 earners.
I was saying this going into the season, like, how can
isn't it like 6 out of the top 12? It's like half of the top 12. I remember seeing that same viz.
Yeah, they've got obviously Ronaldo number 1, De Gea number 2, Varane number 3, and then Sancho number 5, and they want to put Bruno and Pogba in the top 10.
Yeah, don't worry. Our trooper mate, like, look, this is what we do, mate. And you know what? Look, we're gonna also have a special series that we'll definitely talk about how to fix other clubs. It's been on the deck for a while, and we'll definitely do that. So when we do have transfer season, we won't just talk Arsenal. We'll talk all our rivals. We'll have you guys, the fans, tell us which club you want us to fix, and we will give you a pod focused on fixing that club in an unbiased manner. But yeah, guys, look, I think we should probably get to the relegation battle, because it's been an hour and a half and it's narrowing on 2 hours, I think, is kind of the max for me. I'm a little sick, so sorry. But guys, in the comments, please make sure that you, like the video, subscribe if you're really liking the content here. It's been so amazing getting all of this interaction. We really, really appreciate it. You guys let us know what you think that Manchester United need to kind of fix up and kind of go beyond. But we're going to kind of slowly move to the relegation battle. You guys in the comments, you guys make sure you guys tell us who you think will be relegated. But I will go first to Curran, mate. Okay, relegation battle. I think we can take away Norwich. They're done and dusted. I think that is not even a debate. I think it's really those last 2 spaces. And I would be tempted to put Watford personally in that boat, but that's just me. I know that's a debate. So let's talk the relegation battle. Who for you is in the battle? Let's go for there first. Who is in the relegation battle for you?
I think any of the bottom 5 for me. I mean, Brentford, I'm not sure. With Raya back, it is a massive
Josh Da Silva
for them. And Josh Da Silva.
He was their player of the season, Josh Da Silva, the year before, by the way. People talk about Ivan Toney, but a lot of fans say that Josh Da Silva was their best player.
Like the thing with Leeds is I feel like it's not that they've turned a corner. I feel like if they can just get their injuries sorted. I know Calvin has been on and off, and same with Patrick Bamford. I feel like they're just kind of almost safe, but not quite safe yet. For me, and I know me and you've had this conversation, I feel like it's Norwich, Watford, and Everton. I feel like Burnley just about make it. Sean Dyche does it again. I think that he's got enough games to do it.
I said Everton, mate, from January when we talked
Yeah, I
about
know.
Lampard going in. I know some of the guys were a little sick, so they weren't able to go. But me and Nick had a long convo about Everton, and we've got a certain man that I love to get on a cut price deal. So we'll definitely talk about Everton. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so for me, I just feel like the issues with Everton are so deep. I feel like they have this misconception that you could just buy a bunch of, you could buy or loan a bunch of midfielders and it will somehow fix the glaring issues you have in defense and even your midfield, because they loaned Donny and bought Delhi, who are pretty much both attacking midfielders. I mean, maybe you could say Donny can play on a pivot if you want, but they've without Decore there at times, they lack all sorts of cohesion.
Should we just make it like a really quick an Everton section really quickly, and I'm going to do it really like respectively, because look, I talked a lot about this in the January transfer window, and it'll be a nice little narcissism pat. But look, you've got Lampard, who is a coach right now who employs that traditional 4-3-3, but he has zero middle compactness. And then you choose Donny van de Beek and Dele Alli, who both like to vacate the center fundamentally. Right. So when you do look at it, he hasn't bought well at all. And despite Dominic Calvert-Lewin being injured for a majority of the season, and he will come back.
He's got no control in transition.
Lampard himself, right? He doesn't have the new manager bounce. So that's gone for people citing that as a possibility. It's been wiped away. And you look at their fixture list, guys, this is crazy. Again, this is a Leicester when you look at that team.
So
right.
You got West Ham and then Burnley away. Man United, come on Everton at home, Leicester, and then Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester again, maybe Crystal Palace and Watford at some point, Brentford, and then they end with us. So
guys, they have a really poor fixture list, and of course, selfishly, I think we're going to get Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a cut price deal. It's what I said back in January. But guys, it doesn't look good, and it fundamentally comes down to, in a relegation fight, what you really need ultimately is a compact system, right? You got to make things close. You got to make the games close, right? Like, I don't think goal scoring potential is going to get you out of those games if you're not compact. If you don't have a compact defense and you can't keep the goals out that keep coming in, that's going to be a problem. Everton have a problem with that. They're not compact. And I think that when you look at the other teams in there, I think Leeds, Brentford, and Newcastle, we can almost safely say they've achieved enough points now. And once you get to about 33 points, you're kind of safe for me. I don't think we've really had a team that's been relegated under 33 points. So they're all teams that are flirting with those number of point totals already, right? So I think those three are kind of safe, from that perspective. But you basically got your Everton, Watford, Burnley, Norwich. And for me, Yo-Yo makes a good point. I think everybody on the channel has been a big fan of Sean Dyche, right? Like we love him here on the channel. We think he should get a top 8 job, soon.
I love him at a top 8 job. I'd love him at like a Wolves or something. If
he deserves the Everton money, because
he does deserve the Everton money, or even when Potter inevitably goes, he deserves a Brighton.
I'd love him at Brighton. Oh, that would be great. That would
like
be a match
Brighton, or look Newcastle with that money. Like, I'd love to see what he could do. He could be the guy that gets you before that.
A good guy there.
He's got a cap to me. I think Sean
Dyche.
Dyche,
a cap.
He deserves massive amounts, and I think
this is a good question.
Yeah, do you think that Lampard gets sacked? Look, I don't think that they sack him, but he'll be sacked in the summer, I think, because he was brought in to stop that. And I think that they're too proud as like a board to want to do that, because changing a manager guarantees relegation at that point. Like, I think it's too late to kind of do it. They're just going to let you almost bleed out at this point. And that's really bad to say, but I wanted to get Chris's opinion for you, mate. Like, Everton, are you as down as me and Curran are? Like, are they the third team for you? Is it Watford, Norwich, Everton, or do you have another team?
No, I think Everton will probably go down. Maybe I think Leeds probably might even get dragged down there.
Even with Jesse Marsch, who's turned around their form?
You never know, because I think obviously they keep bouncing back in games, but eventually one team isn't going to be dumb enough to let the game become a transition game in the last 10 minutes and allow you to score 2 or 3 in the last 10 minutes.
Because they're actually the most informed team really in the last, because they've won the last 2 games,
Yeah,
the other
watching
guys.
them games, they've been like one goal down in the 75th minute, and then somehow Wolves, the game plan completely changes and it becomes a transition game and allows Leeds to get their goals in transition, which is just stupid from Wolves. But I do think Everton will be the one to drop. And then this is their first time being relegated ever. Like, they've never been relegated. So for this to happen to them, it will be a big thing and a big
Let me
pride.
ask you guys something.
Because obviously they do pride themselves in being able to compete with Liverpool. I say compete very, very loosely. But yeah, like them going down will be, especially with all the money they spent in the past 3 years, I think they will be the ones to go down. And they've got a bad run and they will lose like 4-0 on the last day and stuff. So it will be tough for them.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly ask you something quickly, George.
Yeah, shoot, Kurt.
Because I think we are going to have to move on to Watford and to the other teams in this season. So the one thing I would say to you guys is, if they kept Ranieri, do you think they're still in this horrible position, or do you think he somehow gets it together? What do you think that them sacking him at that moment in time
They needed
does to them?
Ranieri at the beginning of the season. It's been kind of already a poison chalice since November, December for me. Who they had there with their goal scoring potential, they should have stayed up. They just you can't coach a preseason with Ranieri in terms of his block as successfully. I think he would have definitely been a better choice, but they still would have. The damage was done far too earlier to really kind of claw it back in a sense, because they also don't have the quality at the back, guys. Like, they've got Cathcart, they've got really poor quality in midfield. So and when we do our previews, you guys know, they vacate cleverly. They have
made a good
Sissoko.
signing in Hassan Kamaru, who I thought would be a decent sign, and he's been
good.
He is a signing. I like Loser. Loser has been okay. Like, I don't mind. I don't mind Loser. I think without him, they're lost.
He's better than Danny Rose, very much better. So they've made a decent signing.
Decent players for sure. Like, I like Josh King.
They are susceptible, though, I think, to just an overall quality lack in the midfield and defense, just really fundamentally. And so when you do that, it becomes very difficult to stay up, right? But if they did have Ranieri, I think they would have definitely had a better opportunity. But guys, in the last 25, not even 20 minutes, I think we have to give the people what they want. So it's transfers, guys. So we will definitely do that.
Let me before we do move this on, because this is a great segue into transfers. So there's a couple of teams going down. So what players, and don't say DCL, we already know DCL. Is there players that you would take from a Watford, a Burnley, for Arsenal, like as a backup for a big team, not Arsenal, for a big team?
Why don't we do one player that you would take from each? We'll go up to Leeds, because I really don't think Brentford and Newcastle are in trouble. But one player that you would take in a relegated team.
All right, go on. Do you want to go first, George?
Sure, I can go first. From Norwich, difficult, but Todd Cantwell is probably the best player that you could really take from that group.
He's not a Norwich player, mate.
Well, he will be. Todd Cantwell.
He's moved. He's gone to Bournemouth, hasn't he?
He has, but I don't know. He was probably my only pick, because they don't really have anybody else.
I know who I'd pick. Let me go.
I know who I'd pick.
Matthias Norman.
Ah, damn you!
Of all their players, he's probably the most ready for a big team. But none of them are worthy of being a big team. I think he's a mid-table midfielder, most tackles in the league. He's been okay this season, but they've got a very.
I think he gets overrun. For me, it was only kind of because he was there at the beginning of the season, right? So for me, Todd Cantwell was something that was interesting. Probably at Burnley, Dwight McNeil. Everyone knows how much I love Dwight McNeil. He is somebody that deserves kind of a big move, in my opinion. He definitely has the ability to be in kind of a top 4 team easily, and he's very flexible, quite a modern player. I don't think he has the speed to be converted into a right wing, but he's definitely one of those. He reminds me of Di Maria in profile. In terms of how he approaches the game. He's got Really good width on him, really good appreciation for space. So I definitely take him. In terms of Watford, everybody knows Ismail Assar is somebody that I've loved and I keep champagning for kind of summer 2023. So he's probably somebody. And Everton, of course, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is somebody I keep telling all the masses. I will have my thread. Don't worry. I'm waiting for more notoriety. I'm waiting for a lot more concrete links. But I've always said he is the striker that Mikel Arteta will go for. And maybe we'll have a breakdown kind of here on the channel as to why. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin on kind of a cut price deal is definitely something that I would look at. And then probably for Leeds, if I was to go back at it, I mean, I don't really think that. Look, Rafinha is the obvious choice about what you would go for, just in terms of quality. But I mean, he doesn't really make much sense for Arsenal. But if they were to get relegated, he's £25 million, right? So he is a market opportunity. So even though we have enough space there, I mean, Rafinha is probably the get there. But what about you guys?
It's okay.
So yeah, Norwich, nobody.
Oh, wait, before you go.
I'd say-
Soon that mate, there's a join button on desktop, and next to the subscribe button, the join button as well. If you just click that, it'll make you can join as a member. And if you do, thank you so much. Really
And we'll have
appreciate
Chris pop over the link too in the chat for you.
Yeah,
too.
the pinned comment in the chat is the link, and I think
it. Anyway, sorry,
Norwich, no one deserves it, honestly, to go to a top team.
Yeah,
I'd say Norman just because he's top 2 tacklers in the league this season. I think a mid-table team, maybe him. Timo Pukki is so inconsistent, and then Burnley, obviously McNeil, but I don't think he could be a top 6 winger without the pace. So maybe Maxwell Cornet as a left back will be okay. I think McNeil is probably the best suited from Burnley to go.
Tarkovsky as a bench center back.
I think from Burnley it's definitely Sean Dyche though to go to a top 16. Sean Dyche is the big team person from
The big fish.
Yeah, I think Watford is definitely Ismail Assar. He has great potential, and with the right coach, could be a very, very, very good winger in this league. I think he has very good goal scoring potential, and obviously that pace and explosiveness isn't easy to buy. It really isn't. And then Everton,
He doesn't want to pick the ones that I picked.
I don't. Can I say
Why
Donny
would
van
you
de
want
Beek
to?
for Man United?
Would you do Richarlison? As some of
I
the
said
comments
Donny
are
van de
thinking.
Beek. Quick.
Sorry?
Nah, I don't think you can take Donny. He's a Man United player, surely.
No, I'll count it if you'd like. Because he's
Take him if you
still
want.
online. Okay.
I don't want to say the same players as you.
And what about Leeds, mate?
In fact, no. In fact, for Everton, because that's kind of cheating. I
Ben
think
Godfrey.
Abdoulaye Doucouré could be a player that could be snatched from them to go to a bigger team. Man United could do it, even though they could do better, but he's better than what they have. And then from Leeds, I think I'll go Bamford, even though he's always injured. And Melier in the future is a very good project keeper. Well, Rafinha is obviously the great choice, but I think he's overrated. Honestly,
Right.
I mean, when he's relegated, he's £25 million. That is a steal.
Yeah, that will be
He's
a good buy.
overrated, but
overrated. I think.
Okay,
Okay,
here we go, boys.
Currently, how about you? Round
Here we
it
go,
up.
boys, because there's going to be names that you did not even think about here.
No, Weghorst, I know.
so-
That's your boy.
Don't say Wobie.
That's your
I'll
boy.
say who I want, okay? From Norwich, I'm going to have to do with I don't really see anyone apart from Norman there. I'm not saying Pookie. I refuse. Ew, no. Sargent, no. Like, I don't know. It's got to be Norman. It's the only one I can think of.
Wait, sorry to cut you off, Karen, but
Yeah.
George, why didn't you say your countryman Solis?
Because I don't
Oh,
like
yeah.
him.
Oh,
Ball over passion.
Burnley,
I just don't
Burnley, the
like him.
boys
I thought
have
you
already
did.
said it's definitely my boy. It's Woodford, I think. I got ridiculed in a group chat about a year ago for saying that he'd be a good for this league, and
Chris Ward's better than him.
he's just not. But the thing is, what's he's proven this season is that he has a place in this league. His ability in the air, his ability to link up play. The 1-2s he's playing off the front, he's doing it. He's actually winning duels up front, which I didn't expect from him to do. Even on the floor, he's not a presser, but he's putting a foot in, and I'm happy to see him. I think Daesh has done wonders for him. I don't think he's getting started in this league, and he's one of the main reasons why I want Burnley to stay up. Watford, I don't want to go Saar. Everyone's gone Saar. Do I go Dennis? Loser maybe? No. Pedro? No.
Just go Ismail Assar.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Saar, and there's no other reason. You can't go with it. You can't go wrong with Ismail Assar. Everton, I'm gonna say Dominic. I think me and George have been quite clear on. I think because I remember. I don't know if you remember, George. We had a conversation last summer, like 3 a.m. and discussing strikers, and like you were like, "Oh, Tyrese is coming through, and this is coming through, and that's coming through." But we all agreed that. I remember we both agreed that if it was to be a striker, the prideful would be DCL. And when Erdegaard came in, DCL made sense.
I mean, I've been screaming DCL just because I know that's what Mikel Arteta's type of striker since like
I mean
early
it's
May last year.
It's not even the opportunity. It's the fact is when you have the ability to cross from the half space as Erdegaard does, when you have a touchline's left wing option from your left back in Kieran Tierney, who will both offer crosses into the box. When you have a player like DCL, where you have 90% of his shots are inside the box.
And there's so many tactical reasons with so DCL. We'll definitely do a specific thing on him. And guys, part of the channels I'll release like an article that I'm going to have on him, and you guys are going to get prime access to that, of course. But also I'm going to have a thread in terms of it. There's so many things with him. He always was the guy. I think he's going to have very Ramsdale-esque assumptions because I can already see, people aren't a fan of DCL, but it's going to be the exact same thing where people question why Ramsdale was targeted. There's a lot of things that I don't think people have considered, and I just urge them to keep an open mind with him. But yeah, he was always the guy. And just really quickly, when you look at our striker profiles, it makes sense. Guys, we're never going to recruit somebody that we already have a profile for. That's already the case. So when you're looking at it, you never recruit double profiles. We've got somebody that likes to drop deep in the left half space, whether you want to debate it or not. Unless he's sold, we're not getting another one. So Balogun, you weren't going to get your Amy Guri because we've got Balogun, unless you're convinced that he would be sold. You look at your Mika Bira, he's kind of a young, complete 9, but he's not ready for the Premier League at all. So if you've got your Martinelli, who's that off-the-ball striker and mover, you're basically looking at somebody that's a little bit more of a complete 9. But how about Leeds, mate? What do you think?
I mean, there's a couple of names. I mean, Joe Gelhardt is a good project. I feel like. Calvin Phillips, of course, no one's mentioned, but Calvin Phillips obviously could go to a West Ham or maybe a Spurs and do well. I'll probably go with Calvin just because you two haven't said it. I think England international are good in duels. You can actually depend on him to win his duels in that midfield. Won't vacate his zone easily, and can start to build up. I don't think he's extremely good on the ball, but he's able to take that first phase ball and actually pop it quickly, just lay it off and get the ball moving. I don't think he's that carrier and that ball monster that Declan Rice is, but he has the ability to do a job in a top 6 midfield. And if I'm Spurs, that's someone I look at for sure. But
yeah, and look, guys. So last 10 minutes, we'll basically, in my opinion, we'll do a quick fire question period. So we'll try to answer as many questions in the chat really quickly, guys. For the Dominic Calvert-Lewin injury history and is injury prone, it's a load of nonsense just medically. Okay, when you do have those kind of fractures, not even just in the toe but just fractures period, the surrounding soft tissue, so your hamstrings, your quadriceps, those surrounding muscles to maybe major ligament points are always going to be susceptible to kind of injuries when you ramp up really quickly back to return to play. So he very much is similar to Thomas Partey in terms of brought back way too soon, got caught into like an re-injury cycle. So, but himself in terms of being injury prone, absolutely not. Like he's extremely durable. There's no issues medically about him being recurring, kind of injury prone. That's nonsense. He's a very durable player. This is just very typical from return to play fractures, especially from a team that got him at got him back way too soon. So, yeah, nothing there. Maybe in the meantime, while we look for kind of questions, and I hope that answers all over your question a little bit deeper. And of course, our trooper kind of same lines. But as we wait for questions to come in, really quickly for you guys, why don't we just do, instead of names, profiles? Give me your top 3 profiles that you expect this summer to come in. So I'll go, Chris, you first.
I think in midfield we'll probably get a technical destroyer, or depending on the route we go with, an all-rounder 8, left side 8, depending on what we do. I'd prefer technical destroyer, as you know, but we could go the other route. I think a versatile left winger, or versatile winger able to play on both sides. Very good ball striking, hopefully explosive. I can't deal with anymore. People who lack explosiveness. And then up top, that's where I'm not sure on, because all the links are very different. Like a Felix, a Nunes, or a DCL, they're all different, completely different. So up top, I'm really not sure on what profile we'd get, but I'm not sure on the striker profile, but I think a versatile winger who's able to play on both sides, comfortable with both angles, not because there's wingers you can play on both sides, but they're typically much better on one side. But I think a versatile winger like a Gnabry or someone who can play both sides.
Yeah, I mean, Curran, mate, how about you? Do you have a profile that Chris hasn't said there?
I mean, I would like an overlapping right back. I don't know if Brook is going to come back on permanent.
He's ready. He's
100%. No, but that's the thing. If he's not ready, is my point. If he comes,
do you think that he's not ready?
No, 100% not. I've watched the Lincoln comps, and CK sent me plenty of footage on Brook. I think he's perfectly ready. But the question is will he be you don't know how Mikel will look at it in terms of, will he want another season on loan in maybe the championship or something?
I think it's useless. I'll be honest. Maybe we should.
I think it's useless as well. But the question is, there's a difference between if we think there's a difference between if we think it's useless or Mikel thinks it's useless.
Well, for example, think about the linked. I'm just thinking in terms of the linked right backs. Spence, for example, would you really 100%. Say that he's that much more experienced than Brook? Not really. Like, you're basically looking at a young star who hasn't proven it at a Premier League level. That's an exciting talent. That's what you're looking at once again. And
he's not even starting, which is the thing. And we have so many options. We have so many options at right back as well that we haven't even explored yet.
Yeah, and look, we'll talk about Brook, guys. We're going to have an academy update pod because that was really successful kind of in the past. So, we will definitely have a pod to look at some of the new prospects. We've got a bunch of names, and I've said very constantly that, definitely that there's kind of new names that people don't know about. Big names that,
massive
really
names.
We should be coming in, Osier Dewberry, Marcelo Flores, a little bit of Canadian rep there. I know he's Mexican, but we developed him. Okay, let's have that right.
Even the lesser known names.
We did, Chris. We did develop him. That's why there's a big issue.
He's not Canadian rep. He's Mexican.
He
was developed in Canada, and his heritage is Mexican.
Who's he playing for? Who's he playing for?
Yes, he's played for Mexico, but he was developed in Canada. It's the same reason you're so pissed about Congolese. So we're not going to get in there.
Why would I be so pissed about Congolese? It's CK that would be pissed.
Chris,
I'm good with it.
Chris knows. Listen, so ultimately we're going to definitely do an academy pod, guys. So make sure you guys look out for that. And that will be free. Like, we won't make that member content because I know you guys really liked it. So. But we also will be having some, player breakdowns. The big things that I probably want to end on is Yo-Yo's got a good question for everybody to go through. So Champions League, Europa, and Conference League winners. We'll go down the line. Curran, who do you have?
So Champions League. I actually have City winning it this year. I think this is actually their year to do it. I know I don't think it should be, but I think they will manage it. I think they do have the ability in terms of Europa. I think you can't look past Barcelona to win it. And conference, Roma, maybe, or Marseille. I think those are the two major ones. I think Leicester could do it, but I don't really see them getting past a Marseille or a Roma. I would say one of the two. Let's say Roma. I think that would be my three.
Chris?
Oh, Conference League. I'm looking at the teams in. I think Marseille probably make it to the semis, and they might win. I think Leicester should win it, but they won't.
I don't think they will though.
They won't. So, and Roma lost 6-1 last time they played Glimt. So I'm not too sure Roma even make it to the semis.
Nah, I think
So,
they will.
yeah, Europa Conference League. I'd give it to Marseille. I don't want Marseille to win because they have our ex-players there, but I'll give it to Marseille, sadly. And then Europa, Barca probably win it, but then there's just going to be a lot of narrative noise in the transfer as well because of Aubameyang and stuff.
I just need Rice not to win it until he's available.
They're the best setup team, and then I wouldn't mind West Ham winning it, but obviously there's a guy there that I want at my club, so them winning it is an issue. And then so Barcelona will probably win Europa League, and then Champions League. I think number 7 for Liverpool. Klopp's gonna win it again. I really hope Klopp wins it. I can't. I don't like Pep. I don't like Pep, so I don't want.
I know you don't.
I don't like Pep. So is that who you want or who you think's gonna win it, or are they one and the same?
I need to look at what side they're on. Oh my, Liverpool play Bayern.
I'm saying.
And Man City play Chelsea.
Just say it. I know you're gonna say it. Man City, Chelsea.
Liverpool Bayern will win it.
Yeah, which one?
My heart wants Liverpool to win it, but I think Bayern will win it.
Okay, yeah. So really quickly, for me, I'm going to say with chess, like Liverpool will win the Champions League. For me, I think they're the best informed team, especially one off. Huh?
What?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
You copied me.
No, you chose Bayern, but for me, Liverpool will. They're the most informed team in Europe right now, and especially in a one-off game, I trust them far more with their pedigree. If I'm going in, I think Barcelona should cruise that Europa League, and if you're looking at the Conference League, I think I'm kind of with Chris. I think Marseille unfortunately win it, especially when you've got Guendouzi and Saliba high off their international experience. It's a crazy system that
just come to Roma, man.
Roma are poor in Europe. They're poor in
Trust
Europe.
Mourinho,
and Jose
man.
Mourinho
in one game football, in one-off football.
They lost 6-1.
Yeah, no, it's not group stage football anymore. It's nah, man.
He's done. He's a finished man.
Well, yeah, I just want to clarify. I don't want Pep to win the Champions League.
Would you want Roma winning it though over Marseille?
No. I'm different to Chris. I want our ex-players to get that pedigree. I think it'll do them.
No, it's not about the pedigree. It's about the
no, I know you don't want the narrative that are.
Yes.
I get that, but for me, I think it's really good for their development.
But yeah, not coming back.
I want Guendouzi crying, man. I don't care.
Look,
Just give me...
also, yeah, sorry, mate. Like, I am very ill. I think I've got the Rona. I'm not even.
I think we have
I've got to do a chest. I'm not gonna lie, but look, content over personal feelings. So, look, guys, if you guys stuck with us for now, it's almost 2 hours. And speaking of, I really got to go and sit down and go home because I am.
You are sitting here.
No, I gotta lie down. Like I'm dead.
Yeah.
And so essentially, thank you so much, guys. We're going to wrap up now. Thank you for sticking with us for those 2 hours. Again, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I think the pinned comment, guys, is for any membership. If you really enjoyed the stream, let us know and you want to become members. Let us know about that. Like we said, Chris is going to be releasing a vlog for all you members tomorrow. It'll be member-specific content. We've got some free vlogs if you kind of want to see Chris and stuff beforehand, see what they're like. But, for members, we're going to be releasing that tomorrow, I believe. And, of course, we're going to be back on Friday for the preview because we've got a game, boys. Look, the international break is kind of coming to a close.
I get to talk about Palace, who I've been wanting to talk about, but I get to talk about them Friday.
Yes, and they're you're like your kind of your B team in a sense with Paddy B. But
no, that's not why. That's the reason why.
Well, look, ultimately,
Oh,
guys,
and he
thank
got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
He did indeed get inducted to the Hall of Fame.
They did. But guys, thank you so much for sticking with us. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. In terms of basically where you can find us, you can find all our socials down below. You can find you guys go. Where can they find you, current mate?
They can find me at current BoP.
Yeah, and Chris, where can they find you, mate?
At CK Football on Twitter, and you can, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And of course, you can find me at GeorgeV_AFC, and you can find Willow at the one Willow. Guys, we really love and appreciate you guys. We hope you enjoy these spaces. There's a lot of positive feedback on them. Make sure you guys can put in your comments some constructive criticism for us. If you really liked EGAL, make sure you check out his channel. Big up to him for coming on, even though he had
Everything
some
will be in
work
the
earlier
description.
in. So it'll be in the description. But thank you so much, EGAL, for coming on again, mate. It's always a pleasure. But guys, we're going to probably see you for member content tomorrow. Again, check out the vlog. But on Friday, we'll check everybody back for our Palace preview. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye now.
Bye.